Good morning, and welcome to Catherine's Garden. It's early in the morning, and no one is up. Well, I'm sure there are people up, but nobody is visibly up. Thank you so much for being here with me. I really do appreciate your presence in the garden. Hello and welcome to Catherine's Garden. It's so good to be here with you today. I hope that all is well with you. Well, the garden is going through a transformation, and I'm still playing with the roses and enjoying the different roses here. This is Eden Climbing Rose, but also I am now going to be adding some more of these vincas to different parts of the garden, and also I'm going to be adding some coleus to the garden as well. I'm going to take you around and we're going to look at different things and do some observations and see what needs to change, what needs to be added, and what else can we do to just improve the garden. So come with me as we go for a walk around and look at different things. But then also I'm planning on growing out some things in as far as the basil, adding them to parts of the garden, and moving and transferring some of the zinnias, as well as just looking at things on the deck, what needs to be transplanted, what needs to be added, and so it's a whole mixture of different things that we're going to look at today here in the garden. And the plants are just growing so tall. June is a good month in that a lot of things happen because you're moving from spring to summer. And in the last couple of days, we've been getting some really hot temperatures in the 80s, the high 80s, and I think it will be even in the 90s today. But this is early morning, so everything is still cool and it's very bearable outside. This is the last of my plants that I've grown from seed. And you can see here, this is watermelon. That watermelon seed is from last year. At first I wasn't going to plant any watermelons, but I think I'm going to put those in the front and see what happens. And then I have some more cucumbers. And then this is sunflower. Giant sunflower seeds. I saved the package so that I can show you. That's what it is. The Mammoth Russian. Seeds from the Dollar Tree. I am never going to take it for granted, those seeds from the Dollar Tree, and make sure that next year I gather a whole lot. Now I have this container. I believe what I'm going to do is put some of the cucumber or either the watermelon plant, one of them, in this container. And then I have this vinca plant in which I'm going to plant out this pot here. I really love the vinca flowers. I remember as a 20-year-old going to the island of Montserrat and walking down by the riverbank on my grandparents' property. And I saw these vinca flowers. They were huge. They looked almost like a shrub. And I said, that flower looks so familiar. And so this is in memory of my parents' island home, vinca. I had some basil seeds and I threw it in a container, and now I've decided to plant them out here in this larger container. What I'm going to do is allow them to grow out a little bit more, and then I'm going to pull out the smaller straggly ones, and I think what I'm going to do is transplant them into the larger garden area, plant them with the tomatoes, because I heard that ooh, this bee is keeping me. I heard that, oh, look at it, do you see the bee? I heard that the basil, oh, look at the bee. I heard that basil is a good companion plant for tomatoes. So what I'm going to do is allow these basils to grow, and then I'm going to separate them and transplant them out into the main garden and near the tomatoes. I heard that they help the flavor of the tomatoes. But I am so pleased with this basil, because I actually started from a seed pack from the Dollar Tree, and I planted them out, and then I transplanted them into this container, and it was a process, a learning process, but I can do it, so this is good, and I know I'll be better with seeds next year. The best basils that I got from my gardening friend did not do that well because of the temperatures shifting so much earlier this spring. So this is going to make it possible for me to have basil with my tomatoes. And I know I'm going to enjoy it in my tomato sauce. My homemade tomato sauce when the time counts. Check this out. This is a Gerber daisy. I planted it in this pot, but then I must have thrown in a seed, and I think this is a pumpkin seed, a pumpkin plant. So it is growing so well, and it's actually shading the Gerber daisy. And on these hot days, I think the Gerber daisy appreciates the shade. Here's another Gerber. I love the flower, it's so beautiful. I wanted to show you what is happening to the grapevine. Remember when I planted the grapevine earlier in the year? Well, it's growing and it's just reaching out. Look at that. I'm going to have to train it. I believe that I'm going to let it grow and then transplant it down below next to the climbing rose and let it fill this corner and make its way up, maybe even up onto the rail. This is my Japanese maple. I got a pretty pot for it. My husband actually bought me the pot. I don't know what I'm going to do with it just yet. I think I have a spot for it in the front garden, but in the meantime I really like it here. I hope that it can handle the transplant when the time comes, but I think I'm going to transplant it in the fall. And my calla lilies, look at that. The leaves are nice and big and growing thick. It's my first time growing calla lily bulbs. Check out the leaf. See the spots? So come with me as we walk around and enjoy the garden and start to reassess and look at what needs to grow and what needs to be changed and what needs to be replanted and restored and revived as we move into the dog days of summer. You just have to be on top of the weed seeds and just continue to pull out the weeds. They grow so fast because now the weather is warmer, and if you don't keep on top of the weeds, then they will outshine or outgrow the vegetables. This is my nasturtium here in the front and the peppers. The nasturtiums are growing quickly, but these peppers, these green peppers, sweet peppers, they planted them in earlier, and there was a cold snap, some really cold nights, and they suffered a little bit, but now it seems like they're gaining back their strength and coming back. That's the same thing that happened to this basil, and I've had to pinch out the flower tops, and it's just bushing up. Look at this. This is one of the earlier knockout roses, and somehow I just planted it in this area, but the weeds and other viney things kind of have been overtaking it, but still. It's a survivor. I really like how the vegetables are just getting larger. They're just growing and growing, and I still have some that I need to plant out. I think I'm going to put the watermelon plant in the pot and see how well it does there. That way too I can monitor it when the weather or the temperature becomes colder in the fall, so that I can place it in a sunny location, and that way it will continue to grow, and I'll see if I can get a watermelon that way. I planted the basil into the front garden here. Just a couple, just to see how they're doing, and they are doing very, very well. So I think that I'm going to actually change my mind and do it quicker because they're growing so good here. The zinnias are getting taller also. I'm going to need to transplant some of them real soon too. Let's check out the okra and see how they're doing. At this particular time too, the temperatures have been rising. We are now having some very nice warm nights of the 60s, and we are experiencing hot days in the 80s with little rain. So that means that I have to do a lot of watering in the garden. The garden is continually changing, and if you look back there, you could see how tall the hydrangeas are becoming. They're going to soon turn blue because this is the Nico blue. You see these hydrangeas right here? I propagated them, created cuttings, and then I planted them in small pots. They grew up, and then I put them in a safe area, then transplanted them back in the back there, and now they're actually looking well established. There were some others there too that I did a couple of years back, 2 years ago, and they're starting to come up, but they're still small. But I love how this is going to turn out because they're going to be blue soon. I think it's Nico blue, hydrangea endless summer, and they've been there for about 6 years now. 6-7 years, looking good. And then we planted some impatiens back there, and they're doing okay, but this is still a work in progress. There's something about looking at the garden from ground level. The garden just got a beautiful haircut, the grass. I love when my husband cuts the grass. Everything just looks so fresh and beautiful. Each time I go by the garden or take a walk through, I see something new and different happening. Now these are my oriental lilies. You can see that it's starting to grow out the flower buds. And the hostas are beginning to flower, at least these are. You can see that here with the hostas. I planted this angel trumpet cuttings, or these angel trumpet cuttings, in the center. I had in the past 2 huge angel trumpet trees, but I didn't care for them as well as I should have. But I'm thankful that I took cuttings, because you have to overwinter them. But I'm starting afresh, and I'll just hold on to the plant in the winter. It'll be easy to winterize them because they won't be as large. But I don't think I'm going to get any flowers this year. Who knows? This is a propagated plant. I propagated from the mother plant. It's bridal bouquet. And I just wanted you to see how in just a couple of days how they have now developed into beautiful, beautiful mophead blooms. I love this. So the roses are finished, but this is now in place. The blooms will get big, and there are plenty of them. I am just so thankful, because I thought that I would not get any blooms. Like last year, there were just a few, but this year, look at this. I am going to be propagating some more to plant out in that hedge back there, that back border. I think I might do it just a little bit differently. I'm going to kind of nurse them and start earlier also, so that they could be a good size. And now that I know how to transplant things into different pots, I believe that this is going to turn out really, really nice. They'll grow and they'll be stronger and they'll be able to last the winter. Now, this is the endless summer, and it's in the sun. So at times with the heat, the leaves will just kind of droop down, and it makes me nervous. But right now it's early morning. They've received a good dose of water, and the blooms are just looking so beautiful. So see what this is what the color looks like for now. I love that. You can kind of see their transformation from this beginning size to this size, and then this is a more matured looking one. And so I hope that you will come back to Catherine's Garden and subscribe and share my garden with others. Let them know about Catherine's Garden. If you like this video, then like, share, and subscribe to Catherine's Garden for more wonderful videos. And now that the vegetables are starting to grow, you're going to see some vegetable videos, as well as continuing to have garden tours. And it's just going to be great as we relax and have conversations in the garden as well. Well, don't forget to subscribe and to like and to share this garden experience with others. Thank you so much for listening and watching and being a part of my gardening experience. I do truly enjoy sharing it with you. And come back again to Catherine's Garden. Bye.